Hello and welcome to gaming and welcome to my Red Dead Redemption 2 review. It took me so long to beat Red Dead Redemption 2, that's why this review is so late. I normally don't really do them unless it's within the first 2 weeks of release. I don't like to do my reviews a little bit longer than that, but this game was so long, and I figured with the online beta coming out like a couple of weeks back, maybe it's going to be fresh in everyone's mind. So, you know, maybe this video will do a few more views than it would normally have done if it had been about anything else. So I've had a little chance to play the online, and I thought I could talk about that as well. I'll incorporate it into the review. But what we're going to do, it's a little bit different to what I normally do, is I'm just going to sit and talk here at my webcam, and I'm going to sort of intersperse the review with footage of the game. We'll just see how it comes out. Just something that I wanted to get out there. So yeah, here we go. As I said, the game is so long, but it's packed full of content, and it most certainly is Game of the Year contender worthy. I don't think it's been winning any of the Game of the Year things, but it certainly is sort of in that category without a doubt. Rockstar, they always make great games, and but that's not to say it's not without issues. There's certainly some issues with this game, and I'm going to talk about them. So we'll get into those first. The main issues for me, particularly in the early stage of the game, the Chapter 1 section, there seems to be quite a lot of pacing issues with the story and stuff. As I say, mainly in the first chapter. Of course, Rockstar want to bring you into this world that the Dutch van der Linde's gang, you know, building that relationship between certain gang members, the backstory of John, because of course this is a prequel, so it's what happened before Red Dead Redemption 1, which, you know, left a lot of questions for us to ponder on. I know that a few people got put off by the first chapter, certainly people that I know who didn't even play beyond the first chapter, which is a real shame because, as I've stated, this game is actually awesome. So they missed out by not getting beyond that initial chapter.
Nice work, Arthur. Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for a few days. You found it. I knew you'd be okay with that bow. It's easier when they ain't shooting back. We've seen enough of that. Considering how things were looking a couple of days back, well, maybe our luck's finally on the turn. Seems to me we should be putting our effort into getting off this mountain now. Soon. People are still weak, and you've seen how snowed in those wagons are. They ain't going nowhere until we get some more thaw.
That's shit then.
You're probably right. And even if we do get off here, what then? Still have a big price on our heads.
A couple of the early issues for me deal with this new Tamagotchi style gameplay that's in Red Dead Redemption 2. They've made it super realistic with things like having to look after your weight, making sure your character's being bathed, cleaning your guns so that they sort of maintain their damage stats. Stuff like that early on is really it's a lot to take in. It's kind of like, I know Rockstar have done these things in previous games like San Andreas. They had weight differences and stuff like that, but they weren't too intrusive. Whereas I think with Red Dead Redemption 2, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to think about in regards to this. You know, you've got to maintain your horse, you've got to brush it, you've got to feed your horse. There's a crazy amount of stuff for you to do. It can be quite off-putting, I think, for someone who just wants to dive into a game, because a lot of us, we just want to play a game, right? We have enough shit to deal with in our real lives, and we don't want to jump on a game and have more shit to deal with in terms of like looking after ourselves and stuff like that. It's supposed to be an escape from reality, so making it this realistic is an interesting choice, and they may have just like lost a little bit of that playability to the game with adding this in. But I did feel that actually, as I got to grips with these new Tamagotchi style gameplay elements, that you do start to sort of not appreciate them more, but you kind of find your rhythm with it, and it becomes less bothersome. Although I still feel like maybe they shouldn't have put as much in the final game. As you earn money throughout the game, you can spend it on things such as improvements around your camp, guns, and you can customize your appearance as well. I had a lot of fun with the facial hair customization, and when you get to the big towns, it sort of unlocks even more options for you in this respect, and yeah, rocking the GOTY I was. Once you pass the initial chapter, the game becomes open world. So this means you can take on missions in mostly any order you want, but be prepared to bump into strangers along the way. They'll definitely distract you from your objective. I had an incident where I had been hunting. I'd got a good pelt of some animal, and I was riding to take it into town to sell it, and a woman had fallen off her horse, so I went to help her, and she wanted to ride it back into town, but because I couldn't take the pelt with her on the back of the horse, I had to leave the pelt behind. I thought the pelt would stay, because I was really close to town anyway, so I thought the pelt would stay there, and I went back and it had gone. I was gutted. There are some times where you go to help someone when they're requesting help, like a stranger, and it's actually like an ambush, so you've got to keep your wits about you and sort of pick and choose which ones you decide to go for. You get requests as well from friends from the camp and strangers as well as you play, so you get things like people saying, can you go into town and buy me some hair gel? And I can't exactly remember what the payoff was for this. I think it just sort of strengthens your relationship with those people, or you get your honor meter fills slightly as well. The honor meter is actually something to pay close attention to, because I wanted to buy an outfit in the game and I wasn't allowed because you had to have a higher honor, which, you know, I don't know how someone at a store judges that, but yeah, that was a shame. So some things unlock depending on where your honor is sat. Of course, there are mini games they return, and Rockstar sort of love peppering their games with things to do like this. So the ones returning are 5-finger fillet, poker, and dominoes, although I can't remember if you did actually get to play dominoes in Red Dead Redemption 1. The poker is the only one really worth playing because you use it for a story mission later on, but actually even then you kind of, your hands held throughout the encounter, so it doesn't really matter if you know how to play poker. 5-finger fillet is kind of like a memory / rhythm game. You've got to remember the order of the buttons to press, but yeah, that can be interesting to do. From time to time, it's a way to win money quick, but you don't win a lot of money. Going back and forth from missions takes you on extremely long rides out on your horse. During a lot of these times you get like exposition because you're riding with other characters and you can talk to them, and it's normally, if it's totally story relevant, they talk to you anyway, but there's like additional options that you can do by holding L2 and asking questions and stuff. So I highly recommend that you invest in the fast travel option from camp. It's one of the upgrades at the camp, because there are times where you're riding out and it just, that's all it is, and it's very, very boring. So the camp fast travel option is pretty good for side missions if you want to go do side missions, but a lot of the story quests you're sort of forced into these long horse rides. So I've had a little bit of a whinge, and I've thrown some good things in there as well so far, but one of the things that you can definitely appreciate with Red Dead Redemption 2 is just how great it looks. Some of the landscapes are just magnificent to look at, and with such a huge open world game, I actually had very, very few glitches throughout. It's normally like expected in open world games for stuff to start breaking, and as I say, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 instances throughout. You know, this game took me around about, I don't know, like 60 hours to complete, so that's pretty good going. Right, we're going to go donate some of those funds that we just got to the camp. Oh, what's going on there? Graphic glitch. Graphic glitch. Floating bottle. I did have some audio issues, but I wasn't sure if they were the game or my HDMI connection. from my Elgato, because the audio at times was becoming very like sibilance, a lot of sibilance, a lot of the S's was like that sort of noise. It was really frustrating and really off-putting. Fortunately, I managed to fix it the few times it did happen, and like I say, it was a good job because the voice acting was so good in this game that it would have been a shame for it to be spoiled by something like this. But I do think it was possibly my Elgato and not the actual game. The banter between the group is great. You really have a wonderful time with the gang members, sort of different relationships with each one. It gives you a bigger understanding of the connection between these characters that John especially has. John Marston and Arthur are the two playable characters in the series, and they have kind of an interesting, strange relationship to start with, because John had previously ran away from the gang and Arthur was quite mad at him. But as the game progresses, Arthur starts to see John's thinking without spoiling too much. I mean, it's hard to spoil a game like this because it is a prequel and we know where the story's leading. So I feel like I can openly talk about certain bits, but I also don't want to spoil the game. So, but yeah, you know, as we know, John leaves the gang again, and then in Red Dead Redemption 1, he has to go and hunt the rest of the surviving members down. So we kind of know what's going to happen with John throughout the game. We get to rescue John early on, and we see where he got his scars from. So Arthur plays like a massive role in the setup of Red Dead Redemption 1. But like I say, you probably realise that because it's kind of the point of this game. The main campaign is really special, actually. You know, once it gets going, it's a slow burn, but it builds to such a satisfying end game. I really enjoyed my time sort of within the gang and the conclusion of what happens with them. I thought it was awesome. We come to love the characters and hate the ones that we're supposed to hate, and we get a better understanding of the motivations for each member in the original game. So as I've said so many times already, there's so much to do in this game. You know, the main missions, the side missions, the sort of mini games, and you can just goof around if you want. Of course, there's also the hunting, which is its own little mini game, really. There's legendary creatures to hunt, so it's packed full of content. And I have to say that it's certainly a 9 out of 10. It's on that level, but I don't know if it's better than God of War for me. Now, that's just a personal thing, because I tend to prefer a game that's slightly more linear. I'm not a big sort of open world, go out and explore kind of gamer. I never have been. I've always been more of a story driven person. I like a good narrative, and I never really mind about playing a linear game as long as the story drives me through it. But here, of course, with it being an open world style game, you can sort of take on the story as fast or as slowly as you want. And then there are things, like I said, meeting strangers and stuff like that sidetrack you a lot. So it does take away from the story at times, but also, you know, it is an amazing narrative. So I've given the game a 9 out of 10 for the main game, the main campaign there. So let's talk briefly about the online segment of the game. I played a few hours of it, and my big worry going into it was the fact that I didn't really like GTA 5 online when it started. I remembered like just not enjoying it, not being able to find games, and just thinking it was a waste of time. Obviously, over the years, Rockstar have addressed that. They've added different game modes, different play series, different special events, and it's really become sort of its own thing. Recently, my brother bought me a copy of GTA 5 for PS4 because I had it on PS3, and you know, I played quite a lot of the online during the last year and a bit, and yeah, it's really sort of grown into something. So Red Dead Redemption Online, sort of so far, it only consists of a series of combat matches. You can do series with like 15 other players, and you can do, there's like a larger scale one that's 32 players on the map. So you get things like team deathmatch, capture the flag, and points-based matches where each weapon has a different points value. So killing someone with a pistol gets you, I think, 6 points, whereas killing someone with a rifle gets you 1. Stuff like that. So sort of your standard online matches that you come to expect from games, but there are some interesting ones in there, like that points-based one. There's also a sort of like a mini battle royale that they've added. So yeah, there's one in this game as well. But you only get to use bow and arrows, and it's not like a massive map. You're in sort of one of the smaller confined areas of the game. There's also race series, which are lapped races or checkpoint races, and the checkpoint races are a little bit different because with them you can go and do the checkpoints in any order you want. There's something like, I don't know, like 25 on the map. You can go in any order you want to, and the first one to do all of the checkpoints wins. Of course, lapped races is your standard race, and we're doing these on horses because that's obviously the time period. So you need to get a better horse, and that's where my sort of bugbear with something to do with online comes into it, which is the economy. We'll talk about that later. So I've been enjoying the series, the combat series on Red Dead Redemption Online, but I am finding it a little bit frustratingly similar to Destiny 2. So what I mean by that is, with Destiny 2 you couldn't pick which match type you wanted to play, and that's the same here. It's just random. Now I think that developers are doing this because when it's left up to us gamers, we all tend to flock to our favourite game mode, the one where we can get the most kills in and stuff like that, and sort of other lobbies become dead. So I think they're kind of like fighting back on that and thinking, well, if we spend all this time making these games, we want people to play them. So yeah, it's sort of like a random map type thing, and it can be annoying because if you want to play, like, if you just want to play team deathmatch, you can always do that. The rest of the online is free roam, and you bump into other players, and it consists of like missions actually. So there's this whole sort of extra story, which again I think was the same thing with GTA 5. You could go and do heists and stuff in that. So you can matchmate with other people to do these missions, or I think you can do them on your own. Completing any of these will give you dollars and some of the in-game currency, so now we'll talk about that. So I'm going off what I played in the beta, and I believe they've addressed it since because people did bring up a lot of issues with it. So you earn dollars like you do in the normal game, and you can use these on certain things but not a lot in the online, as far as I was aware anyway from my initial playthrough of the online. But you get these gold bars, which is the in-game currency, which is the thing that you can buy off Rockstar, similar to, I think, was it Shark Card in GTA 5. And the return rate in the beta was disgustingly low. Of course, Rockstar are going to want you to purchase it to give you a boost. But as I say, supposedly they are rebalancing it, because I was playing, you know, I wasn't top of the list in the combat series or whatever, so I wouldn't expect to get too much. But I was getting like 0.02 gold, and some of the stuff was costing, like, to upgrade your horse, I think it was like maybe 200 gold, but then if you wanted to do it quick or something, you could pay 900. It's like, how on earth are you going to get to that without buying their currency? So as I say, hopefully they're rebalancing it and it becomes a little bit more kind. So I quickly sort of stepped on it there, but you do need this gold to buy new horses, and of course getting an improved horse will help in the races, and you can buy guns and stuff for the free roam section of the online. They tend to be level locked, or they were when I was looking anyway, so you can't actually get some of them until like level 12, level 15, level 30. But as I said, you can use your gold to unlock them early, but it's a crazy amount. So I'll probably be playing the online when it launches properly. As I say, I did get into the GTA 5 online over the past year or so, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Rockstar do with Red Dead Redemption Online. I think there's a lot of possibilities there for them, and yeah, it's, you know, a game that already had like 60 hours of single player, and then they've added an online mode. They had no reason to do it, and it's well worth full retail price, I have to say. So if you've not played the game, definitely go and get it. Christmas is coming up. Ask for it for Christmas, but you probably already know. As I say, this review's going up late, and people have well covered the game already. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again here on Welcome to Gaming.